Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll begin. I'm Deepshikha, and I'm library data steward at TU Delft, and I'm here with my colleague Richard and Wang. We will be talking about research data management services that are offered at TU Delft and how DMP Online fits in different aspects of these RDM services. Uh, we will be presenting this presentation in two parts. One wherein I will talk about, give an overview of RDM services, and my colleague Richard will explain about how DMP Online fits in by taking the case of his own faculty, that is electrical engineering, mathematics, and computer science. So here's the outline. We will talk briefly about pair data support at TU Delft in different layers. What are the different type of research data and software services, how these services are supported with the help of data stewardship, and how DMP Online fits in. So these are the different layers wherein fair data support is supported. We have a team of research team that consists of data managers and research software engineers that provide hands-on support as part of the research group. Then we have digital competence centers that also have data managers, research service software engineers, and it's an on-campus initiative to help researchers make research data fair, improve research software, and apply computing practices to increase the efficiency of the research process. Then at the faculty level, we have data stewards who advise and coordinate with researchers, students at faculty level. And they also get involved in faculty policy and workflow development, advocacy, and trainings. The library, which plays an important role, that it provides research data and software services in terms of trainings, tools, policy workflows, collaboration across the university, and data steward coordination, which again is another important aspect of RDM services. And then we have 4TU Federation, which is 4TU research data that provides repository for data and software, capacity building for data stewards. And then we come to the, because we're talking about RDM services, and library is the hub of RDM services, and it supports the different RDM services with the help of a team which consists of training coordinators, trainers and assistants, education advisor, project leads, data managers, data steward coordinator, and data steward, which again forms another team at faculty level, which I will talk about in the upcoming slide. Before that, we come to research data and software policies that is also supported and developed and updated by library with support from different other groups and the teams. These policies are developed at university level and also for the at faculty level, and that also involves one institution. And the policies involve research data framework policy and also the software policy and different guidelines for the research software that includes licensing, registration, and commercialization. Then we have the training, that is RDM training provided by library. For the training, library takes the approach of going from very basic or introductory level of understanding on RDM and software management to content specific trainings. Introduction can involve very informed researcher, and the basics can have RDM essentials, software carpentry. The RDM workflow involves qualitative data, research software, and then on the top is ad hoc RDM training, which can get very specific in terms of the content. It can focus on genomics, geospatial research, or social sciences. Then we have research data management tools that are also supported by library. We have, of course, DMP Online, and Richard will talk in more details about it. But other than DMP Online, we have electronic lab notebook, Electronic lab notebooks are basically digital version of a notebook that allows researcher to document and manage their laboratory experiment data, and can also it also allows them to share this data within and between different lab groups. So there are two type of electronic lab notebook application, that is eLab Journal, and another one is RSpace. Then we have data stewardship coordination, also supported by library. The objective here is to address disciplinary needs regarding RDM, and also promote cultural change that focuses on research environment and people's mindset to ultimately promote change in research behavior. Uh, the pilot was started in 2017 with university support, and it became a regular service since 2020. And we also have these achievement reports past 4 years. Then we have this RDM support ecosystem at TU Delft. So there's not just data stewardship and the data stewards team that is supporting RDM, but we have different experts that converges to data stewardship, and that helps data stewards to again support RDM and provide that RDM support to different researchers or students, whoever needs RDM support. And these experts are ICT and security experts, privacy, ethics experts who review ethical consideration for research activities, legal and security expert. Then we have, of course, researchers who demands on research data management. Then we have data manager, research software engineers, librarians who help in publishing, training, or advice for RDM. Then we have grant officer or institutional management that provides policy guidelines, integration of RDM support. And all of this converges to data stewards team, and the data stewards team in TU Delft consists of 13 data stewards, out of which 12 are faculty data stewards, as you can see in the diagram. And one is a library data steward and the data stewardship coordinator who work directly with library. But data stewardship, the data stewardship coordinator is the link between the library and the faculty data stewards. The data steward team, they meet weekly to exchange or update on different projects or different RDM practices. They have shared data storage wherein they can share different um, or discussions about different challenges or problems. They have mailing list and functional inbox, which again, Richard will elaborate on how DMPonline fits into these mailing list and functional inboxes. And as working as a team, they exchange practices, they report issues, innovations, if there is, to share in the RDM practices. So this is our TUDelft data stewards team. And so what do data stewards exactly do? So they provide daily support on data management, that is to advise, review the DMPs, provide trainings on DMPs, and sometimes trainings related to some of the RDM aspects. They look into RDM policy implementation. They engage with the researcher RDM community at university level or with different universities. They also look into faculty or discipline-specific practices, which again, which can be different in different faculties, and how they can get different. Richard will give you an example from his own faculty. Then we have, this is where the actual work begins. This is research data management workflow, wherein the researchers or the supervisors, when they start a new project, they get into data management planning, supported by data stewards, and then which is again supported by ICT, privacy, and human research ethics committee teams. Again, this DMP is or the data management planning document is reviewed and supported by data stewards, and then they can begin the research. But at any point of the research cycle, they can get back to the data stewards or any of the supporting staff related to privacy or HREC or ICT. They can come back to these supporting staff and get advice or get guidance about how to manage their data, and then continue working on their research. So from here, I give the floor to Richard, who will elaborate more on how DMPonline fits into all different RDM services that I have just explained. Richard, I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Deepshikha. Right, I will. Okay. Can you see the right slide? Oh no. Here we go. All right. Hello, everyone. As Deepshikha said, I'm Richard. I'm the data steward at the Faculty for Electrical Engineering, Mathematics and Computer Science. And you can see our building there. It's a lovely TU Delft building. And within our faculty, we have 6 different departments. So we have the Applied Mathematics Department, we have the Electrical Sustainable Energy Department, Intelligent Systems, Microelectronics, Quantum and Computer Engineering, Software Technology, and all of these departments have different needs when it comes to research data management. So some of them overlap in different ways, as we'll see later on, and there's different aspects of them that I would like to highlight in this talk. So first of all, I'm
Richard, I think we can see only the presenter view, not the.
Oh no, I apologize about that. Let's see if I can. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so yes, with that sneak preview of the next slide, let's have a quick look at this diagram. Now, I appreciate the text here is very small. Here, I'm just trying to give you sort of an overview of the research data management workflow at our faculty. So here we're looking at the researcher who has just got a new project, a fantastic new idea, and they need to start making a data management plan. The first step in this process is to contact, draft your DMP, contact your data stewards for advice. And then between the data steward, the researcher, and the other parts of the support team, such as the ICT team, the privacy team, and the ethics team, you work together to create a finalized DMP and, if necessary, a HREC or ethics application, which can then be used going forward in the research. So DMPonline is central to all of these aspects. There's the support aspect of the data management, which is discussing solutions to technological, legal, methodological implementations of your research. There's a managing, which is actually keeping track of different aspects of the project. Of course, publishing at the end, what you're going to do with the data and the paper that results from it. And the training and events that we centralize not only around DMPonline, but on other aspects of research data management. So taking a look at this first aspect of support, I've broken it down into 2 sections. We've got the technical support, which is the addressing concerns such as choosing the appropriate hardware and software. So if you've got a project that's doing some interviews with people, making sure that researchers know that there's hardware available from the faculty themselves, as well as locally available transcription services, rather than sending information outside of TU Delft or using your own personal devices. There's aspects such as documentation and metadata and fair principles. So how, as a researcher, can you make your data fair? What kind of documentation do you need to consider? What types of services are available for you to share your data? And of course, there's also the data sources, the data generation, and the research outputs, which is the are you choosing appropriate sources for your data? is there a open source file format perhaps that you could use instead of a proprietary version? And are your methodologies appropriate for what you're trying to do, and also in context of fair data? So I've got some rather broad categories of different types of projects and data that we deal with. So microelectronics, of course, they deal a lot with very small microprocessors. So they'll have lots of electron microscope data. There might be some genomic data from the bioinformatics group. Different systems, different groups within intelligent systems will need access to interviews and to web servers for interaction with people about UI research. And software technology encompasses a lot of different software issues, such as AI and LLMs, etc. And sort of branching off of that is the other aspect of the RDM support, which is the sort of administrative support. We're talking more about privacy and ethics, GDPR compliance. So if you have participants coming in to do interviews, or if you're trying to develop a new camera and you need a human subject for the research, how can you do this in a way that complies with GDPR and research ethics? As a technical university, we also work a lot with industry partners and commercial entities. So navigating these aspects and how do you deal with copyright and patents and those types of issues. And somewhat in between those last 2 points is the collaborations with healthcare providers and medical centers when we're trying to develop tools for them or new ways of processing health data, for example. So when it comes to actually managing the data and managing research aspects and the administration aspects of this, we rely heavily on DMPonline. So funding bodies, of course, require a DMP for all new research projects, but additionally, TU Delft requires that all PhD candidates and even some master's or bachelor students who are working with personal data to also have a data management plan. And this because data management plans are used internally by other support systems as a reference document. So we need to be able to have this, we have a sort of common DMP that we can all use to get the information we need as fast as possible. When using DMPonline, it's also very nice that other external parties can be invited to collaborate as well. So when there's a larger consortium or whether there's a few external partners that would like to share specific data, they can provide direct contributions. So as Deepshikha said in the earlier part of the talk, we have a lot more data stewards than some other universities. So we have at least one data steward every faculty. Some faculties like myself have 2 data stewards there. And we need a way to ensure that all of these DMP requests from all these students and the researchers and PhD candidates are forwarded to the right people. So of course, at DMPonline, you can request feedback through that, and it will send an email notification to the shared inbox. But we want to be able to extend this capability. And so we have developed our own internal notification system, which will allow notifications sent by DMPonline to be distributed to the correct data steward. So when an email arrives in the shared inbox through a series of requests to the DMPonline API and through our own internal databases, we can find out the appropriate person to send the DMP to. This system has undergone quite a few different changes in the past few years, and we've started work on a new sort of iteration of that, which is only half working. Right now, Deepshikha is taking up the responsibility of forwarding most of these emails at the moment, but we hope to have that resolved very soon. But essentially, the process is that when a DMP arrives, it will scan the API, it will get the questions. Our first question in our API is whether, or in our TU Delft template, is whether or not you've consulted a data steward. So when someone has answered this question, we can look up that data steward in our database to see who it should go to. Or if they haven't answered this question, we will just search for the author's email address in our database and then find the relevant faculty and data steward. So when the DMP actually arrives at the correct data steward, there's a process of iteration of feedback between myself and the researcher, and also the other members of the support team. So typically when we have a data management plan for a complicated case or a non-trivial case, you have to consult different aspects of the service team. Not all of them have to be consulted all the time, but quite a few of them do most of the time. So when we're talking about privacy concerns, so whenever a student is doing research involving human subjects or with a third-party data set collected from humans, we ask them to consult the privacy team and also the data steward to go through the ethics approval required for the research. In our DMP template, we have some questions in there which will dynamically change the rest of the template. So for example, if you're going through the DMP and you answer, yes, I am doing work with human participants and I will be working with personal data, you'll get a bunch more questions asking you about what kind of participants are you recruiting, do they have any, are they like a vulnerable data subject on the GDPR? Are there any additional concerns that need to be addressed? And have you discussed this with the privacy team? So if you say no to all of these questions, because quite a few of our research projects don't involve any privacy concerns. So for example, if you're just working with an external company on developing a microprocessor, you're not going to be using human data. So you can just answer no, and it will remove a bunch of questions from the plan. So in total, there's 35 or 36 questions in our template. So when you are not working with personal data, that sort of removes half of the questions. If in one of those examples, perhaps you aren't working with personal data, but you are working with an external company or an industry partner, there are some also questions in there for who owns the copyright for that and how is the intellectual property managed, and also what role TU Delft plays in this. So if you are working with a company, you should be in contact with the faculty contracts team. And if you aren't already, we can get you in contact with them. And they also can use this DMP to find out the relevant bits of information for them. Finally, sort of central IT is one of the last main pillar of contact people before the ethics committee. This is essentially how much data space are you using and where are you storing the data. This is mostly in the cases where you're using more than a few terabytes of data. We need to have the infrastructure available for that, and to give our IT guys a heads up that something is going to use a lot of their data. So when all of these processes are completed, we've done a lot of internal discussion. The researcher can then apply for their ethics approval, and the ethics approval will also look at the DMP and will sometimes feed back to the researcher, in which case the cycle begins again and we sort of discuss a bit more about how to improve the project. But in most cases, the research is approved and the researcher can start to think about other things until the very next part of the RDM workflow, publishing, comes along. So of course, in the TUDelft template, we ask many questions about how and where you're going to publish your data. We encourage people to publish as openly as possible, and we try and give them the resources in order to be able to do that. So the DMP is also meant to be a record of sort of not only what you've done, but also in practice, it acts as a way for researchers to find out what they should be doing for when it comes time to publish and later down the line. So we ask questions about what kind of data, which of the data types that you've listed are you actually going to share? What are you going to be sharing in it? How are you going to do it? Is this going to be uploaded to Zenodo or our own for TU research data repository, and also what license will data or code be released under. This can be especially a difficult question when working with companies, but we have a lot of advice on that. And as a data steward, I'm always asked this question, and supposedly I give good advice on that. So that is a very good thing that the question is asked, and fortunately, it provides a reference for in the future, so that when they come back to it, they know exactly which one to choose and don't have to call me again. So part of this is because PhD candidates also have to provide a list of DOIs in their thesis submission process. So when it comes to submitting their thesis, they have to provide a list of where their data is being stored, and if they can't do that, they have to provide a decent reason why. You know, we can't provide this because it's private personal data or because it's commercial data. That's okay, but if you don't have a good reason, we need you to be able to. We need to encourage you to share this as openly as possible. And when it comes to training, we also do a variety of training techniques, both on using DMPonline. Every faculty has a different way of doing a workshop and presenting DMPonline to their students and staff. At EEMCS, my colleague Santosh, he's also been very involved in a lot of different projects of the library, such as the personal data human research subjects MOOC, and also he does the Open Hardware Academy initiative on the side as well. And myself, I collaborate as well with different types of workshops and presentations from the library, including on version control and collaborative development. So another part of this is that we also make PhD students and PhD candidates and master students do these DMPs. We're also getting them aware of data management plans early on in their careers rather than being confronted with this as soon as they hit postdoc. And we get a lot of questions from them. Occasionally we'll have sessions with like a master's class or a bachelor's group to discuss how you fill out a DMP and what needs to be considered. So that is a sample of some of the ways that we provide assistance with RDM. And pretty much the last slide here, but it's important to mention that supporting the support is something that needs to happen. We are a large-ish data stewardship community, so we have a lot of people that we can lean on for support in these cases. As Deepshikha mentioned, we have weekly meetings to discuss opportunities and issues with each other. But we also do collaboration between different faculties. Often more than one faculty is involved in a project or a DMP. And also, whenever there's a high workload at one faculty, we can lend support to each other on that, as well as providing outreach on behalf of other faculties or the entire university, as we are here today. But I think that is everything that I had to share. So thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And I'll hand back over to Magdalena.
Thank you so much. What a great presentation. And thank you for all your time to putting all of these notes together. Very, very interesting. We received one question from, and apologies for my pronunciation if I'm mispronouncing your name, Ziad. So Ziad, you can try to maybe unmute yourself and read the question yourself, but in case this is not possible, I'm happy to read it. I'll just give you a few moments.
Thank you. Actually, that was a correct pronunciation of my name. Awesome. Much appreciated. So from my experience and what I've seen working in Belgium, most institutions don't really have this much data stewards. As a matter of fact, for example, here at TU Ghent, we're a team of 5 data stewards with 1 coordinator, and each one of us handles several faculties. So I was impressed to see that you have so many data stewards. So the question was, what was the situation that led to that? Or how did the university manage such a big team to begin with?
I think, I don't know if I don't want to put Jan on the spot here, but I think she's in a better position to answer this question than myself. I've only recently joined the TU, so.
Yeah,
Jan
I'm happy to answer this. So actually there were two reasons of how we reached the current situation with such a large pool of data stewards. So the initial objective of having the data stewardship and data stewards at TU Delft was to drive the culture change. Because from the beginning, we realized that the technical challenge is never the core challenge. It's always the people, the mindset. And Delft is a very large technical university, and every faculty, to be honest, function as an island. So there was always this perception that many people don't really know central services. And if you ask them what are library services, what could library can offer, most people, even nowadays, I would say, that don't have the entire clear idea. So then we really saw the needs that you need to put people into the faculty, work together with the colleagues and be there. So the physical presence was also actually crucial. It sounds a bit silly with such a digitized society, but it actually worked the best. So initially we had 8 data stewards in 8 faculties. But then over a year, of course, you are more exposed to the research community. You discover more problem challenges, and people come with much more and challenging questions. So for large faculties like Richard faculty, the demand was really huge, and just for processing DMP requests, the one person was not enough. So I think the 3 large engineering faculties, they start to hire the second data steward. That was really the initiative from the faculty themselves. They saw the needs and they really felt the importance of such role. And then they decided to hire them. And so the funding is completely coming from the faculty side. And the reason we also extended a position at the library is really seeing from the workload of the data steward team, but also the challenge of the coordination. Because if you could remember the ecosystem diagram Deepshikha showed, it's not just data stewards team working on RDM support. We have so many partners in the university, the different services. And these people we need to maintain contact with them. Meanwhile, data steward team need to really improve the daily practices from their own faculty disciplines. So they're simply too much work, also at the team level. So that's why we now also have the library data steward. It's really to facilitate the team working together and make sure that if the team want to develop something or have some innovation, there's someone to take lead of that, to facilitate the coordinator. So the coordinator can really focus on university level coordination with different partners, but at the data steward team level, there also needs coordination, need project management, and needs also actual hand and expertise there. So that's why we expanded both at the faculty level and also from the library perspective. Thanks.
So thank you for your answer. Actually, I think every university faces this challenge where central administration services are not really clear in the minds of researchers. So I think this is a great way to approach it. Do you feel that because of the presence of specific faculty-specific data stewards, let me rephrase, the physical presence, do you feel that it made a shift in the mindset of the researchers? So the researchers are aware that they have a data steward at the various faculties?
Yes, at least until before the COVID time. So the data stewardship started in end 2017 and 2018. We have all the 8 data stewards in place.
Mm-hmm.
And actually during the first maybe a few months to half a year, the main task of data steward is to outreach to different research groups. So they did a lot of outreaching presentations at group level, at department level, and really just to show up, let people know, hey, I'm here, I'm doing this. That helped a lot. And I clearly remember all the data stewards did the same thing at all the faculties. So and then even though during COVID time, but then at that time, it's already you could call it a well-established visibility of the data steward in the faculty. So that wasn't really stopped during the COVID time. Even though these days, I would say, compared to pre-COVID time, the physical presence is a little bit less, but we are also have a different way of working these days. So so far it seems to be really good. I think Richard can tell how many researchers contact them on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you very much. I can't see any more questions in the chat. Oh, there is one from Chris. I don't know, Chris, whether you would like to unmute yourself.
Hi, yes, thanks, Magdalena. Yeah, I just had one question. I was interested that you have over 35 questions in the DMP. I'm wondering, is that in addition to the questions that funders ask? And if so, then that's quite a lot of questions in total. So what was your process for winning buy-in from the researchers to answer those additional questions, or was this something that was just mandated by Delft?
So our TU Delft template is we've negotiated with the research funding institutions that we can use our template in place of theirs. So if you're submitting a proposal to NVO or any of the big funders, you can use our template instead. 35 questions does sound like a lot. However, a lot of these are multiple choice or very simple questions which can be answered fairly quickly, to the point that, you know, after you've done a few of these, like experienced researchers will have the points pre-checked as to what they need to answer. So they know where they're going to store their data. They know roughly how much it's going to be. So it doesn't actually take too much time. We do have a few comprehensive questions. And if you're working with personal data, it almost invariably ends up in a meeting with us anyway. So unless you're an experienced researcher, then we can maybe don't have to do the full meeting every time. But there's an understanding that there's a lot of thought that has to go into this, at least at first, and for good reason, because when we're asking you to do this, it's because there's personal data involved or because there's contractual reasons why we have to go through this.
Great, thanks, Richard. That makes really good sense, and thanks for explaining the context in the Netherlands that you got agreement with the funders. That's really helpful, and multiple choice questions sounds like a very good solution wherever it's possible. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Chris, for your question. I can't see again any more questions, but if you have any more questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I'll give you a few moments. But if I can't see any, we can very slowly wrap up. I'll start sharing my screen again, just so I can show when our next talk will be. So this is hopefully the right screen. Yes, so this is the right screen for me to share. So many thanks again, Richard, Deepshikha, and Jan, for taking part in our community event today and for your great inspiration. It's such a different landscape in Netherlands, and just by the fact that basically the funders can approve your template to be used. It is different to what it is like in the UK. And it's very interesting, you know, again, how it works. Like, I think you're quite advanced in how data stewards work in general, and how much support your researchers can get. So it's been very interesting to hear about all of your insights.